Hi guys, following the reading out of the budget in Parliament on Wednesday, the market's reaction was negative. The pound also fell somewhat against the dollar and the euro. However, on Friday morning it seemed to have recovered some of those losses. It isn't entirely clear also that all of the bad news was directly related to the budget, as there was some news coming out from the US at the time. But Conservatives and their friends in the media are trying to paint this as a Liz Truss style budget, and there's a problem with that. Here, Tory MP Gareth Davies made a bit of a fool of himself trying to compare the new budget to the Liz Truss and Kwasi Kwarteng mini one from 2 years ago. Have a listen.
That Rachel Reeves unbelievably had to go on the airwaves last night to reassure and stabilise markets. That's an incredibly humiliating thing for a chancellor to have to do.
Really?
It
We've
is.
gone from 4 to 4.5%. It's a noticeable rise, but it's been orderly.
You ask anybody working in the markets.
I understand the markets.
They will
all
I
too
know
well,
you do.
But you want to make this comparison, given to what happened in 2022?
I'm not the one making the comparison. All the newspapers this morning are comparing it to the mini budget. We've had several.
And you're proud of that comparison?
I'm not proud of
Who
anything.
comes off worse in that comparison?
I think Rachel Reeves comes off worse, given that we've had three fiscal events since the mini budget. And the comparison that people are making of this budget is to a budget that happened in 2022.
You think that Rachel Reeves' move, which has been marginal, from 4 to 4.5% at a time when the 10-year US yield has gone up by half that amount. So the spread is widened by 25 basis points, compared to in 2022, we went from 1.8% to 4.6% in a matter of a month. You think that Rachel Reeves comes off worse than Kwasi Kwarteng, based on the market?
That's not specifically what I said. Of course, that mini budget was a mistake, and Liz Truss had to leave office, and Kwasi Kwarteng was fired on the back of that.
Well, it's absolute kryptonite to charlatans and liars, both journalists doing their job and journalists who know what they're talking about. So this journalist from Sky News knows what he's talking about. And he rightly says, look, you can't, why are you comparing Rachel Reeves' budget to the mini budget in 2022? And of course, the Tories are trying to do that. They're trying to say this is like the mini budget in 2022. But there are massive problems with that. First of all, it's not comparable, as was pointed out here by an expert. And second, this shines a light on Kwasi Kwarteng and Liz Truss, who have not gone away. This is a massive problem for the Conservatives. They're trying to say, look, it's like the disaster of Liz Truss and Kwasi Kwarteng, but don't worry, those people were fired and they've gone away and we're never hearing from them again. No, they're always on the TV. Liz Truss, still a member of the Conservative Party, hasn't been kicked out. Kwasi Kwarteng is on TV almost every day, giving advice. The guy who was responsible for the mini budget. And of course, the mini budget cost the Conservatives 6 percentage points. But more than that, it damaged their reputation as a party of fiscal responsibility. Now, were they a party of fiscal responsibility? Of course not. But they had this reputation. Something really positive going for them over Labour some years ago was that people believed, when it came to the economy, the Conservatives were better. The economy was in safer hands with the Conservative Party. Liz Truss and Kwasi Kwarteng completely destroyed that. So as soon as Conservatives compare Rachel Reeves' budget to that, when it's not comparable, it actually damages the Conservative Party. Because it highlights what happened in 2022. People are still feeling the effects of that. You should be running as far away as possible from Liz Truss and Kwasi Kwarteng. You should not be comparing Rachel Reeves' budget to that, because that was a disaster. See, if Rachel Reeves' budget was an absolute disaster, it would be beneficial for you to compare it and say, look, we kicked out Liz Truss and Kwasi Kwarteng, and what is Keir Starmer doing about Rachel Reeves? But it's not comparable. See, you can try and convince the public that it is, using the right-wing press. But the reality is not going to have that, reality is going to come into conflict with that, because people are not seeing the same consequences. Now, it's possible that the markets later on could react negatively it's still possible that things could go really pear-shaped. But so far, by Friday morning, it seemed that a lot of the trouble had resolved itself. The nervousness had somewhat disappeared. Once again, that could return, but on the surface, it seems things are getting a little bit better for Rachel Reeves. So while the Conservatives think this is great, we can compare it to Liz Truss and the mini budget, what they're really doing is highlighting once again that they are the party not of fiscal responsibility, but of economic disaster. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.